the best way to lose a big game. With the Final Four coming up, they get into fouling at the end of the game and name the Pittsnogle Award finalists. All that and more this week on Just Press Play.
How many losing seasons does Tom Brady have to have before you can fire him?
Well, he's got to have one. He's about to win the MVP.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like,
it's not an unnecessary roughness. It was a completely necessary roughness. I mean,
it's a good point.
the man rushed for 170 yards is what he got credit for, but he walked and ran a total of like 300 yards. The man alive. Just gone.
As soon as it came out of my face, I knew how dumb that was.
All right, we are recording another week of the Just Press Play podcast. We got the same crew as always. We got LJ sitting here and Pop sitting here, and it's fresh. I think that Duke Kansas game just ended about an hour ago. So I mean, some of our takes may be a little fresh, but just get ready. I'm kind of breaking some rules. I'm breaking one of my rules on, when you take the cookies out of the oven, you got to let them cool a little bit. We're kind of getting into the cookies a little early.
We're fresh. We're hot. We'll show you what we got.
I'm just too excited. So let's get to the best and worst of the week. So my best of the week is, this weekend, I don't want to get real political, but the March for Our Lives event was going on this weekend. And it was just, to me, it was incredible to see in my eyes, I saw a bunch of kids realize, hey, if enough of us want to get together and do something, we have a voice. Yeah. We have to do something about it. But what I really wanted to talk about was, politics aside and forgetting your position on the argument, I hope that I one day have the passion and drive to do what Emma Gonzalez is doing. Yeah. Because when I watched her speech, I'm telling you, the hairs were standing up on my arm. Like, it was, to see someone that young, I think she's 18, maybe 19, to see someone that young be that, one, well-spoken, so she prepared for it. She was well-spoken, that confident, that brave, talking in front of, I don't know how many people were there, thousands, millions, the cameras. I mean, she's in front of everybody. Yeah. And she was absolutely flawless. Yeah. I mean, I'm getting a little shaky now just talking. I mean, it made, regardless of how you feel about the position, I just think I love seeing someone with the passion and the fire that she has for anything. Yeah. Whether it be basketball, music, politics, whatever. Yeah. To me, I loved it, and it's another reason why our country's awesome. Yeah. They're getting a conversation started about something they want going, and I thought it was awesome, and shout out to Emma Gonzalez.
Well, and let me just go on that a little bit, because so she gave her speech, and it took 2 minutes and 45 seconds, and then to have the intestinal fortitude to stand there quietly for 4 minutes and just let it resonate. I'm just telling you, that took a set, and it was strong. It was an amazing statement that she made on the platform that she had, and props to Emma Gonzalez. I'm with you on that, Kev. That'd probably be my best of the week too. So
very cool.
El, do you have something?
So I woke up, I think it was Wednesday morning, and I saw a headline, JPP to Tampa. So I hate that you guys didn't talk to me about it first, but man, I'm looking forward to the weather. Wow. I've got things I've got to do here. So you guys just let me know when I've got to be there.
Wow.
So by the way, I was listening to a podcast, and I kept hearing, they kept saying, they were just kind of making fun of how the NFL was saying, breaking news, JPP's going to, a guy that's a decent defensive end is going for a 4th round pick is not that big of news, like blockbuster trade, but whatever. But they just kept saying JPP, and my ears perked up every single time. I was with you. The first time I heard it, I was like, what? JPP?
Did it make your tail wag, Kevin?
It almost as much as hearing that CBS song. But, speaking of tail wagging, so I want to give a second best of the week. And Dr. Gregory Burns, a neuroscientist from Emory University, had a thought. And he thought, what if I could train dogs to sit still long enough to do an MRI to where I could see what's going on in the dog's mind? And personally, I'm 1,000% behind it, because I'm all about, dogs, we just don't deserve dogs.
True
They're
that.
too good to us humans.
True that.
They're awesome. They love us. Even when we could come home and for some reason we're just mad and we're a dick to them, and they're just going to like walk away and come back 5 minutes later and love us.
Yep.
Unconditionally.
Every time.
So multiple dogs have succeeded, but one of them was Truffles. Truffles has succeeded in this test, and he's one of the good boys that's done an MRI, and they can tell that they put two pictures up in front of him, and he can tell the difference between a photograph and a real thing.
Okay.
So like they had a photograph of a giraffe and a real giraffe, and he could tell the difference by the way his brain works, but they can't really determine if they can really think the way we think. I love dogs, and to see that someone else, a really smart neuroscientist, is spending his time trying to do MRI on dogs, I was like, shout out to you, Gregory Burns, Dr. Gregory Burns. Elle, do you have a worst of the week?
My bracket. It's just
Well, we could all say that.
I'm telling you, I don't care. I've said this a million times, and I'll say it one more time. This has been the wildest tournament ever.
well, but only on like
You know what
one
this
side of it,
tournament is?
right? Like one side's pretty much going exactly how you expect it to,
Yeah,
and
we
the
have-
other side is just batshit insane.
Yes.
And we got 1-1 with Villanova and Kansas, and the other side's like, I'm drunk. I need to go home.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there on the right side of the bracket thinking, oh, Seton Hall is going to make a play this year. Didn't even look at Loyola, whatever.
This bracket has really been, so last week I thought it would kind of fix itself.
Yeah.
But so last week I thought, this is what this is someone went to the bar, the left side of the bracket, they went to the bar and they just got too drunk and they were acting an ass and going a little crazy. And someone tried to they were going to send them home, and they'd come back this week and they'd come back to the bar and just have fun and be a good bracket, but the right teams would win. Mm-hmm. Nope. They just went on a week bender and he's still going. And Loyola and Sister Jean are still going. I mean, it has been insane.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, in the championship, like the day after Easter or something like that? Just food for thought.
Next Monday.
I think it's April 2nd.
Yeah.
So, and I saw Loyola gave up losing for Lent. So,
Oh, well, okay. There's that.
We'll dive deep into all the batshit crazy that's going on in a little bit. But Dad, what do you have going for the worst of your week?
Well, since you mentioned dogs, they are wonderful creatures. I don't think I've shared this with you, but so have you had those garlic habanero smoked wings at Hooters?
yeah.
I have.
Have I shared this story with you? Have you heard this before?
I don't think so.
Well, when you have a dog and you finish your garlic habanero wings and you put them in the trash bag, make sure the trash bag is secured tightly.
Secure the bag.
Secure the bag tightly. So, Buddy, smelling those delectable garlic habanero chicken wings, and there were not much left. Let me just tell you, there were just bones, but
Yeah.
You didn't leave much meat on that bone?
there wasn't a lot of meat left on that bone, but there was apparently enough for Buddy to get into them.
Oh.
And so he gets into them, spreads them all over the kitchen floor. Well, Tammy gets up and lets him out. And before she discovers this, when he comes back in, he goes straight to his water bowl and drinks. And so then he comes back here to me while I'm getting my clothes on, ready to go to work. I think this was last Monday morning or whatever. And he looks at me and all of a sudden he kind of heaves once, heaves twice. And there it is. Right
And you
there.
got to see those habanero wings one more time.
Right there on the white carpet. And yeah.
Just to give the listeners a little bit of insight, there's hardwood floor all over the house, but he did it in the room where the white carpet was.
Yeah, he wanted to get into the bedroom where I'm getting dressed, where the white carpet is, and that's where he decided to,
Blow chunks.
Yeah. So, anyway, that was the worst of the week. Buddy blowing chunks.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm talking to you or to Buddy, but poor guy.
Yeah, both of us. Hey, I can tell you, garlic habanero wings, they burn both times.
Yes,
That's just
they
what I'll say. So he had to deal with them again.
Oh, all right. My worst of the week, it's simple. It's my gambling decisions. They're bad. The first week of the tournament, I loaded up my account and got ready to make some parlays, some different games, some bets. I was all in. And I won some, I'm sure, but I lost the majority of the money that I deposited into my account. And then this weekend, the team that me and a couple of partners purchased on a Calcutta, Purdue, they didn't fare so well.
No.
The big man Haas went out after like 3 minutes of the first game they played and broke his elbow, and he was done. But just in general, my gambling decisions have sucked. And then I see that on March 14th, which would be the day before the tournament started, I love just giving y'all stories of other people doing a lot better gambling because I don't have them of myself. A bettor at William Hill, which is Nevada's largest sports book, bet $150 on Loyola Chicago to win the NCAA title.
Wow.
He is now 2 wins away from winning $45,000.
Wow.
That is...
Well, I will say that's a big 2 wins he's still got to go.
For sure.
And I don't know what... Can he hedge? Like, what can he... Do you know, Dad?
I guess he could go put some money on, the other 3 teams.
That, to me, that screams a bet that a guy... Like, he graduated from Loyola Chicago, was having a little too much fun on Wednesday night, made a bet that was stupid, and woke up that next morning was like, why the hell did I put $150 on Loyola Chicago? And now he's sitting here thinking, my life could change forever. It's just, and then there's me who just every single bet I make, you should just do the opposite because I'm just dead wrong on all of it. All right, and now want to get on to a few layup topics. So I've always thought there is life outside of us, like extraterrestrial life. But aliens have to exist. I don't know if y'all saw, there's the story that came out in 2003. They discovered this skeleton of what they called Ada. I don't know, it's ATA. It was discovered in a town in Chile. I had never heard about this until just recently. Well, Ada is what I'm going to call her. I'm going to call Ada she's a 6-inch tall human. She's the size.
6 inches tall?
6 inches. So it's as long as a human fetus, but it has like a skull that's like a head, and its body is like a person. Like, it doesn't make sense. And the researchers that found it explained this 6-inch skeleton as a 6-year-old. The bones were that of LJ, and you correct me if I'm wrong on some of this, but the bones were dense or something. A radiologist said the bones were that of a 6-year-old. So this 6-year-old human is what we're saying, because it's not an alien, maybe, is 6 inches.
I think it's not an alien, I think.
But now they're saying, and some scientists that have studied Ada say that instead of it being an alien, this is just a child that had multiple genetic mutations. But it's got to be, I've never heard of, which I haven't done a lot of study into it, but that many mutations, like, that seems wild. And so they're saying,
well, it is wild, but humans have existed for a long time, right? Like, chances are something wild's going to happen at some point, Statistically, crazy things happening is not as crazy as you think.
Okay, but I'm just saying, it seems like, well, at first I thought, man, it's got to be a tough job to be an alien debunker, because there's all these people that just want to go, yeah, there's aliens, there's UFOs. Actually, I've come to the conclusion that is the easiest job, and that all you have to do is just go, no, not an alien. It's a human. Because
well, I think it's a pretty easy job because we haven't seen an alien. I mean, I agree. I think there's got to be something out there. I think it's kind of selfish to think that this whole big universe and we're the only thing that's ever existed is the things on this planet. But I don't think we've got any contact with any of them. And I don't think, a skeleton that we find in Chile is...
You don't think maybe that was...
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy to debunk aliens because I don't think they're messing with us too much. Unless, of course... someone like Elon Musk or someone like Albert Einstein, those are aliens who are just here to protect us for when we inevitably start a nuclear war. They're just going to like come in and save the day and then just fly away again on their roadster.
Well, I don't know. We see UFOs, or these things that we call UFOs, and the description behind why that's not aliens is, oh, people are just crazy. And they're like, Area 51 doesn't exist. Oh, well, actually, it does exist, but that's a defense project. Don't worry about it. And then we see this 6-inch long human looking thing with an elongated head and 12 ribs instead of 8. And we're just like, no, that's a Chilean girl that had some genetic mutations. Don't worry about that. That's a human. I don't know. It just seems a little odd to me.
I mean, it is odd, but that doesn't mean that it's an alien. I think the easiest thing to do would be like say, oh, this is unexplainable by everything, and then just assume it's got to be an alien, you know? Like conspiracy theories are easy.
I'm going to sleep okay either way. So
True.
Not a
Fair
big
enough.
deal to me.
True.
Fair enough.
True.
So.
Did y'all read about what my boy, I wanted to be my boy because I just want to be friends with him, Ninja, the Fortnite guy,
What about him?
how much he makes playing Fortnite?
How much does he make?
A lot.
I believe it's like he reported that he makes over $500,000 a month playing a video game.
Oh, I'd take that.
What did you
That's a
did you
good
see
wage.
the dude? I mean, he's got like blue-green hair. He looks odd, but he is super articulate. I mean, he is an intelligent guy. I was impressed with him.
I'll just throw it out there. 500,000, slightly more than my day job pays and this podcast pays put together. Barely.
Just barely.
Yeah, just barely.
It's tight.
Yeah.
I've never tried to watch any one game or anything, and I know you have a little bit, LJ.
Yeah.
And my first thought was, wow, because I was good at like NCAA. Rest in peace to the best game ever. But I was pretty good at like NCAA, and I always thought if I really put the time in, maybe that's the profession I should have chosen.
You think so?
But tell me why that's just
Yeah, no, that would have been
thinking,
dumb
LJ.
because you think about how good you did online in NCAA, right? What was your win percentage ish?
I don't know. When I was in my prime NCAA
Yeah,
playing,
yeah, the good days, yeah. Back before
topics people want to hear about. When
Yeah.
I was really good at NCAA.
Back before you tore a ligament in your thumb.
I went on a 19-game winning streak, and I was like 21-7 at one point.
Okay, so
Felt pretty good about myself.
think about like playing basketball at the Y at Fort Smith, right?
Okay.
All right, so you're 21-7 playing some 3-on-3 down there. Do you think that the Bucks are going to give you a call?
No, but I also don't spend. I'm just saying, if I really spent all my time, I would be a lot better than 21-7. That was just in my off time. I was.
Well, but I think that's the
working
thing,
full
though, is
NCAA
to
with Chilean Edelman at Kent State.
someone who's really good at video games, they don't spend 6 hours a day on it. Like you think about like what does a football player do as they're in high school, and they go to class for about 7 hours a day. They work out for about 2, they practice for about 2, and then they watch film for like 1. So they're spending like 5 hours a day on their craft. But you think about video gamers, that's like the most addictive thing you can do. So those people are spending 14 hours a day practicing their video games. Plus they've got God-given strengths that you don't have, such as the ability to line up a sniper shot and pull a trigger just faster than your brain can fire. Like you can do tests and see what your ability to click on a thing as soon as it appears is. And like pro gamers are generally about 50% faster than a normal human being is. And
Wow.
you look at games like StarCraft is the one that I was really into. And the barrier to entry, there are so many things that you've got to know. Like you've got to be able to keep your economy going well enough that you can just send out a unit to see any glimpse of the opponent that you can. And then you have to know if they built this building in this spot, what does that mean? What 7 things could they be doing? And how can I counter 6 of those 7 to be safe? And all that's happening, you've got to click, things to make your economy up and have an army ready to go. You got to click about 300 times a minute to keep up with the best, which is you got to click 5 times a second.
Yeah.
So we're talking about superhuman ability to hit buttons on top of knowing a game like chess forwards and backwards and playing speed chess. Like,
So you're saying when I think of like the basketball,
Yeah.
I look at Kyrie Irving and Steph Curry, and even though they're not crazy tall, I'm just like, their talent is so much better than mine. Like that, I was never going to be that ever in a million years. But when I see a guy gamer,
yeah, I mean, maybe if you had shot basketballs for like 20 hours a day since you were 6, you might be up there with Steph Curry. But yeah,
What is it? 10,000 hours? What is that? You got to put 10,000 hours into your
10,000
craft.
hours makes you.
But the other thing to think about, though, is shooting a ball into a hoop is something that you can always practice and will always be useful in the game of basketball. Video games move on. And so, like, you can't be the best player at Call of Duty 1 because nobody cares. We're on Call of Duty 65 or whatever. And you gotta evolve your game faster than the games change,
So, I think you've opened my eyes to the gap between me and professional basketball players is similar to the gap between me and a professional gamer. Like, it's just,
Say so.
you're nowhere close. You just don't realize how much better they are than you. But are you trying to, it sounds like you might be making the case that the gap between me and the professional gamer might be bigger than the gap between me and LeBron James.
Well, okay, I might not be saying that, but I'm not. I'm saying it's not terribly far from it. I mean, I watched this video, and I'll put it in the show notes. But this guy played Super Smash Brothers. I know you know it, Kevin. I don't know if you know that game, Dad, but it's like a fight 'em game.
Kirby, you're a cheat.
And so he played Super Smash Brothers against. It was like a normal guy like us who plays maybe on weekends with their friends or whatever, versus somebody that's like, I think, top 3 in the world or something like that. And they played on the caveat that we're going to play 10 games and then you're going to take a shot in between each game. And I don't believe that the normal person got a single kill. He just wiped the floor with them all game long, playing with them, toying with them, letting them get close, and then just destroying them. Because it's just like, it's like humans playing with ants when you look at programmers playing with people like me, you know?
That's how we play Super Smash Bros. back with all the homies, except for Lane just ends up falling off the map every time because he can't keep up. All right, so the next thing I wanted to touch on was, I know, Dad, you were a fan, right, of Mike Bibby?
I remember Mike Bibby.
Yeah.
Former king.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I remember watching, when I first remember Mike Bibby was watching the Kings play the Lakers way back in the day. It was like Shaq Kobe Lakers, and Mike Bibby was with Weber and Peja and a few others. But allegedly, I watched a video, and I can put the video in the show notes, but it's just you only see that they actually shot. They played basketball, but you can't actually see them playing. But Mike Bibby, a former all-star in the NBA, while he was watching practice of his kid was at like a youth practice somewhere, and he just saw these guys playing in the gym. So he walked up and he said his name was Chris and asked if he could jump in their game of 21. And apparently, according to his daughter, schooled the guys, which I'm sure he did. I mean, I'm sure 6'1" Bibby schooled him. But I just thought, if I was a former pro athlete, this is something I would do once a week. Just show up and be like,
especially if you're not like super recognizable like Bibby. Like if you're LeBron, you can't just show up at a park and say like, "Can I get in?"
6'8" LeBron with the broad shoulders. Like, you're not surprising someone, but a 6 foot Mike Bibby can go, "Hey, I'm Chris. Can I hoop?"
Oh man, that'd be so much fun to have that ability and do it. Well, that'd be like that guy playing Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
It's like him walking up and going, "Hey, can I jump on the game with you?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure." And then he just beats the living crap out of you.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, if I were a pro athlete, I agree with you. Once a week, I'd be at some park, not even playing my sport. I'd just be like, if I'm a pro athlete, I'm just having fun schooling people at whatever.
Yep, me too.
Also, little side note, I don't think people realize, and I don't think I even realize, but just the people that not even go pro, just like the guys we watch playing on college basketball, the guys that are on the bench that don't even touch the court. If they ever got to the Y at Fort Smith, like you mentioned, if they ever showed up with me at the Y, they would just run that court and make all of us look so dumb. So if I was one of those people, I'd show up and I'd act like I'm a nobody, and I would just make all those fools look dumb.
Man, and you know what you could do is you could be like the Robin Hood of the basketball court and come in, and you know that worst guy that you were talking about weeks ago, you could come in and just make him look foolish and walk away and like make the court a better place.
Yeah.
Follow your shot. Yeah, watch this. Follow this.
I got something you can follow. So, moving on. LJ, you brought up something that I thought was interesting. It's conversation topics. So I want you to...
Well, so I was just thinking about the other day about all the things that people like to talk about that nobody wants to hear about. Like, I want to talk about my fantasy football team every single year, but I don't want to hear a damn thing about your fantasy football team. It means nothing to me. I have no frame of reference.
It's irrelevant. I don't care.
So I was trying to think of some other ones, and I think your dog's Instagram account is something that I've seen enough times to just be like, I don't care. I'll look at 2 pictures of your dog.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't want to hear about, if your baby is close to talking. That's useless. I don't want to hear about your dream.
He's 46 months old. That's awesome.
Yeah. And when can we stop measuring in months? Like, what's the age where it's like, let's start using years for babies? Because I don't want to do all that math all the time,
If we're actually making rules, it's 2, but we're not gonna go down that rabbit hole, I think.
But yeah, I don't know. There's just something. I don't know. Is there anything you guys can think of that people should just not talk about?
Yeah, I would say your fantasy football team is one because I care about mine. I couldn't give a rat's ass about yours. You know, who doesn't get to start?
Brackets. Your bracket's the same thing,
I have
Kevin.
a relevant one for
Yeah.
you. Don't tell me. Oh, I had Loyola winning one. I don't care about the one upset yet because you're not mentioning that you also had Seton Hall beating Kansas in the second round, but that doesn't look so good either.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty. I am, but no one cares about the one upset you got right and the 7 that you're not mentioning that you got wrong.
Well, and speaking of which, I thought of one-upsmanship. I know I've mentioned this before. I don't know about on the show, but like the person that, you know, you say like, oh man, I got 6 hours of sleep last night, so I'm a little tired. And then they'll say, oh, that's really cool. Well, I slept 3 times since 1969, so I totally understand how you're so tired. Shut up. Just either feel sympathy for me or move on. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear.
Either go, I'm sorry, or shut up and move on. I don't want. It's not a contest. Jesus. Yes.
So are we saying you just shouldn't talk about your lack of sleep? Or don't want.
I think it's okay if you're asked, like, you know, like if you say like, oh man, are you okay? And you're like, well, I just didn't sleep really well. And then you can even commiserate, but like, I don't know, there's a limit to like, you can tell when somebody's trying to tell you that you don't know how bad it can be.
So is this okay when a superhuman mentions it?
37, 10, and 8 for yourself. Besides that 3 and a few jumpers, a lot of your work was done at the rim. What does that take out of you? And then to have the energy left to knock that 3 down?
I don't know how I came away with the energy because I only got like 3 hours of sleep last night. Kind of been a little bit under the weather, and I just couldn't sleep last night. I went to the early game and kind of messed my routine up this morning.
So LeBron James drops 37 and 15 and 8. And I actually only got like 3 hours of sleep, so I don't know how I was so good.
That's like when they ask you like what's your worst quality in a job interview, and you're like, well, I just sing too beautifully.
But no, I totally agree with you though. I don't know if I've been the one-ups person, but I know I've been in the position where I get to work and I'm clearly sluggish and someone's like, is everything all right? And you're like, yeah, man, it's just, I only got like 2 hours of sleep last night. And someone's like, oh, really? Because I didn't sleep. I had a final and I didn't sleep at all. And you're like, well, I'm sorry. That sucks too. We both are miserable. But yeah, I agree with you. I hate it when people do that one-upsmanship.
Yep. So I've got 2 debit cards and both of them have chips on them. And I like the idea of the security of it, but I figured out exactly why it's the worst thing to ever happen.
Enlighten me.
So you start off and you go to the grocery store and they're like, okay, that'll be $67 or whatever. And then you go to the thing and first off, you don't know, am I supposed to swipe it or am I supposed to chip it? Because it's different at every other store.
Right.
Yes.
And then you stick the chip in, you have to wait for the cashier to hit a button. And then you have to decide if you want to donate $1 to a homeless pet. Right. And then it thinks for a second. And then you have to type in, do you want cash back? And I usually don't. So I hit no. And then it thinks for a second. Cashier has to hit another button. And then I have to wait for the cashier's button to go through. Then I type in my PIN. And then I wait for another 2 seconds. It's like they're all very short waits. But then after I type in my PIN, it then starts beeping at me like I have, I don't know, kicked its dog or something. And I have to take out my card now to turn the airbags back on or something like that. And so I spend all this time like having to focus. And like if either me or the cashier drops the ball for a second, it doubles the entire length of the transaction. Or if I mess up my PIN,
start back over.
Doubles the length of the entire transaction. I'm just sitting there focused. And back in the day, you swipe, which is an inherently fun motion. You type in your PIN.
It's fun to swipe.
It's fun to swipe. You type in your PIN. You say you don't want cash back, and then you guys just wait. And maybe you wait for 5 seconds longer, but I don't have to pay attention to anything. I don't have to know that the cashier is supposed to hit a button right now. I chill, the receipt starts printing, and then I leave. So the chip is ruining grocery shopping.
I know when you're getting ready to pull that card out, that chip, well, it gives you an obnoxious sound. It's like, pull your chip, pull your card out. And I hate that. It's like, what did I do wrong? I hate that
When they've tested, like if you put a more pleasant sound, people leave behind their cards. because you have to leave your card in the whole time. Like, you can't be done with the transaction until you're totally done. Like, it's
so it was funny. You brought this up the other day, and the day before you brought it up, I went through it at Walgreens. I put my card in, and Walgreens is different than every other place. Normally it says, like, do you want cash back first? And I have to click no. Well, Walgreens was like, English, yes or no. Instantly, I pressed no, and then all of a sudden, it was all in Spanish, and I couldn't read it. So I had to press, I was like, I don't know what it's saying. And she was like, all right, we'll have to cancel it. And, all of a sudden, there's, 6 people behind me, and I'm buying 3 things at Walgreens because I just stopped in there to go get a Gatorade and a Butterfinger and something else and some batteries. And now I'm taking forever. And it's because this daggum chip. And I'm with you. I like the security of it, but there's got to be a better way. And then it causes the small talk, which is just.
Well, it's the amount of focus you got to have from both sides that kills me. Like, you got to be, because everybody's waiting behind you. And so, if it's sitting there waiting for you to hit yes, that's so embarrassing. You're sitting there, there's 6 people over here waiting to go through. And you're like, I'm sorry. Here, I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but I feel very self-conscious about holding people's day up.
There's also something about, and I saw this on Twitter one time, but there's something about, this is the life of a college student, swiping that card, and it's your debit card, but you're swiping it like it's a gift card, and you don't know if there's money on it or not. You're just kind of swiping, and hopefully it goes through, And now you got to stick the chip in. It's just, it ruins it.
It's a chore. It's a chore to spend money, which is probably a good thing, I guess. Let's be honest. But
all right, I have a question for you guys.
All right.
With March Madness, and I was watching the game the other day. I don't know if Texas A&M just forgot to make the trip to Los Angeles to play Michigan in the first game of the Sweet 16, but they got clobbered. I mean, they got beat by. I think Michigan just made another 3 in that game just now, but. And A&M's big guy Robert Williams, who's really got a lot of potential. He's tall, 6'11", athletic. I think he declared for the draft at the under 16 mark in the first half. He was already gone.
Yeah.
But so it got me. They got beat. They got rolled by 20, but they made it to Sweet 16. Shout out to the Aggies. Whatever. Screw them. I'm a woo pig. But would you rather lose a game in heartbreak like Duke just did, like we just watched, and we'll get into that a little bit later? Would you rather lose like that, get to overtime on a shot? You almost won it in regulation, it went in and out, and then lose in overtime? Or would you rather just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off and lose as a fan?
Well, if you're asking me, I would rather lose on a heartbreaker as a fan or as a player. I want to be in the game. And if I'm in the game and I gave my best and you beat me, I'll walk off the court. I'll shake your hand. If you beat me like a drum, I'm just pissed off. Off from the get-go. So
yeah, second place through 64th place sucks. That's it. So it's not like it feels better to get beat worse. It's not like, because at that logic, I wish I didn't get asked to be in the tournament because I wasn't going to win it all. I want to be able to get close enough to where I can have an actionable play. I want to be able to blame it on myself, and if I'm going to lose it, I want to lose it close.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm a Duke fan. Y'all both know that. I'm an Arkansas fan. That's who I live and die by. That's who really hurts me when they lose. Duke, I'm not hurt right now, but if they would have just went ahead and been down by 20, then we could have turned the game off and started getting our pod going. Start talking about some random things. But since it was close, I watched the whole thing. I'm like, man, I watched the whole thing just to see the team I really wanted to win lose. And if you're an A&M fan, you could have turned that thing off at halftime because it was OVA.
It's true.
I don't know. I think I'd rather just the heartbreaking losses are tough. You don't get over though. You wake up, that's almost like a hangover. You wake up the next morning, you're like, wow, if that 18-minute replay that they did at the end of that Duke-Kansas game would have went our way, then.
But I think one of the things you talked about before on the show is that, the greats have that chip on their shoulder. And it's a really good chip on your shoulder?
Barely losing
last year.
Yeah.
Always. I'd always rather just barely lose, or I just want to know I gave my best. And if you beat me and I gave my best, I'm okay with that. And I'll relive it like you're talking about, Kevin. I'm sure I will, but I hate getting beat like a drum. I hate it. And it happens a lot. So,
On that note, let's get into a little basketball talk. And so Michigan won huge. It was a big win for them. But why do teams, it seems like no college team knows if they should or shouldn't foul. Dad, have you noticed that at all? Like, it just is insane.
Well, which game was it? Was it because you mentioned it? We were texting.
Yeah,
and,
Florida State, Michigan.
Florida State, and Michigan.
It was in multiple games, but
why didn't they foul? I mean, it was obvious foul. You still have a chance. I want to say they were down by 6.
I think so.
Well, so Florida State, they are. Let me look at. I have it written down. They fouled. They hit a 3 to make it a 3-point game with 1:17 left. Or I think it was a 4-point game with 1:17 left. And then they went and fouled Michigan, and Michigan went down and missed the front end of a 1-and-1. So Florida State got the ball right back, and Florida State went down, jacked up a 3, and missed it. And then they randomly. So Michigan gets the ball and they dribble, and there's still like a minute left. So you could just play defense and try to just see if you stop them. Like, that's logical thinking. But they let it go for 18 seconds, and then they decide to foul him.
Yeah, why let that 18 seconds go?
Either foul him right when they inbound it, save the time, or don't foul him. Pick one. You can't, that doesn't make any sense.
Were they waiting on somebody to get the ball that's a bad free throw shooter?
Possibly. That might have been it. But let's get into Michigan's free throw shooting, and that gets into the end of the game. Michigan's, as a team, shoots 66% from the free throw line, which ranks 326 out of 351 qualified teams. So they're not good at shooting free throws. But down 4 with 15 seconds left, Florida State scores to get them down 4, and they just let Michigan inbound it and run out the clock. I guess they're going to try to stop them, but you don't realize that the shot clock's now turned off.
Yeah.
And the game ends. And it just... It seems like you're quitting if you don't foul there. And this was Leonard Hamilton after the game when asked about it by Dana Jacobson.
Coach, take me through the final seconds of this game. Why didn't you guys foul?
What are you talking about?
Down the stretch there, the end of the game, the final seconds, 11 seconds left on the clock.
Do you think that the game came down to the final seconds of the game?
I'm asking you, though, why that decision in the final seconds of the game?
The game was over.
You didn't think your guys could get back in it, put them on the line if they miss those shots?
But 15 seconds, what were we down?
Put them on the line, they miss a few shots.
And then he walks off. He goes, I don't know what you're talking about. He's since apologized for the way he reacted. But why? I mean, why wouldn't you foul?
Well, I don't know.
At least send them to the line. They're terrible at free throws.
They're one of the worst teams in the NCAA at free throws. Why wouldn't you foul? And I don't know why he acted like that. That makes no sense to me at all.
One of the things I did see, though, is it felt like, and maybe it's just because I don't watch enough, or maybe, it's sound strategy, but I was really frustrated watching Florida State try to, they were shooting for fouls instead of shooting for buckets. Like, Savoy was throwing a shoulder into somebody when he had an open 3. And instead of trying to take the shot, he was trying to make sure he got 3 free throws. And there was a layup where they were coming down the middle of the lane, looked like he had it, and then he tripped over nothing trying to get a foul, it looked like to me. So I think there's a possibility that maybe Coach was thinking, these guys don't want it. They don't want to play basketball. They want to get away with something. They want to win off a technicality. So, maybe he just feels like they lost that game mentally before you even start.
Yeah. I do think that I agree. It happened in that game, and it's happened in general. Teams just, instead of trying to make a good 3-pointer, they just try to draw a foul for the 3-pointer, and refs know what you're doing. They're not dumb.
And generally, I would imagine hitting 3 free throws is higher percentage than hitting a 3, but you got to want to make that shot because otherwise, I don't know. It looked like really, really crappy basketball to me. I just did not. I didn't think they had it in them to win.
Just a stay woke moment for all you out there. The line was Michigan minus 4.5, and Florida State didn't foul, which would have made the line. If they would have made one of those free throws, it would have gone to 5. Just saying.
So that's why he decided it was over.
There's probably some people in Vegas that were pissed off that he didn't foul.
I bet so.
No, let me tell you something I noticed out of that game. So number 0, I think, is Phil Kofer.
Yeah.
Is that his name? He's the only guy. He's wearing nutters. I mean, have you noticed that? Everybody's wearing the long.
Did you watch the Duke game?
Yes, but I didn't see
shorts.
They were wearing Daisy Dukes in the Duke game.
Oh, they're bringing it back.
My man Marvin Bagley wears shorts. Malik Newman wears shorts. We'll talk about him in a minute. But
I just thought they were tall and they couldn't get shorts to fit them maybe. But Kofer's, I mean, his are like form-fitting. It's like gross. It's like put some long breeches on, man. Jeez.
I'm telling you, athletes now, some of them in college are doing like, you can tell they roll up their shorts. Like you can see it's rolled up. And they like
I did see that.
Opposite of Fat Five. Like they wear shorts now.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I've seen a bunch of the tags poking out back. So yeah, you're right. They're rolling up that waistband.
I mean, it makes sense. Dennis taught Charlie how much range of motion you can get with shorter shorts.
They're just listening to Dennis.
Yeah.
And another game, speaking of fouling, Kansas State, who they just never really, shout out to Kansas State and Bruce Weber. The fact that they made it this far with their best player, Dean Wade, not playing at all. A 6'10" guy that averages 16 and 6 and is their star. Didn't play all tournament and then made it to the Sweet 16. So that's impressive.
That team's coming back too, right?
Yeah, a lot of them are coming back. But they lost to the Cinderellas, the Fighting Sister Jeans. I mean, wow. Oh, hold on. That was Sister Jean that made that $150 bet in Vegas.
Yeah, right.
And she's got the big man on the hotline. Oh, I'm connecting some dots here. But so they fouled. They were down 14 with a minute left or like 30 seconds left, and they were still fouling because you just don't quit. I think you instill that. But what are your thoughts? They're going Loyola Chicago in the final freaking four.
Love it. I love it. I'm so excited about it.
What do you realize? They're only the fourth 11 seed. That's the lowest seed to ever make the Final Four is an 11. There have only been three others. LSU in 86, George Mason in 06, and VCU in 11, and then Loyola Chicago in 18. There's been one 10 seed make it. That was Syracuse in 16. There's been one 9 seed make it, Wichita State in 13. And there's been 5 8 seeds make it, including the 1 8 seed that's won the whole tournament. Do y'all remember who that is?
Nope. Who is it?
It's probably UConn when you won some money off of it.
Villanova with Ed Pinckney. They beat Georgetown in 1985. They made it as
the
an
greatest
8 seed.
upset ever, right? Is that upset's better, arguably better than the UMBC one, right?
Well, I mean, it was in the final game, yeah, and everybody expected Georgetown. I mean, that's Patrick Ewing, Georgetown.
Didn't they play the perfect game?
That
Shot
game.
like 70% from the field?
They did. I want to say they may have shot 79, 80% from the field. It was amazing. But yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So they're among the lowest seeds to ever make the Final Four. I didn't realize this. Do you know they rank second nationally in field goal percentage at 51.4%? And they've got 5 guys. Loyola Marymount. That goes back to Hank Gathers way back in the day. But Loyola Chicago has 5 guys in double figures. That damn Richardson and is it Custer that have played together since the 3rd grade? And Richardson was on fire. And then they got what is it? Is it Towns?
And Dante Ingram.
And Ingram. I mean, they got guys that can score all over the court. And we finally have a potential Kevin Pittsnogle Award winner, by the way, with Cameron Krutwig. And I have to say, Cameron Krutwig, who is a 6'9", 260-pound, I mean, I'm sorry, the Kevin Pittsnogle Award annually goes to a big corn-fed white boy that can pass the ball and make a shot. And Krutwig fills the bill. He's very versatile. He's a good passer at that high post. That John Teskey with Michigan is an honorary mention, but he's 7'1". You got to really kind of have a 4. I don't want a guy playing with his back to the basket. I want somebody that can face up. And I'm just telling you, I'm just announcing it right here for everybody that's listening. This year's Pittsnogle Award winner is Cameron Krutwig. 6'9", 260 pounds for Loyola Chicago. He's our winner.
Well, congratulations to him. That's spectacular news.
I know he'll be amazed to hear that. So, LJ, you can go ahead and tell him that we have crowned him the 2018 Kevin Pittsnogle Award winner.
Pops, I think you got a little bit of competition. I think he's a nominee because another guy on the same team, on the Ramblers, Mr. Carson Shanks, he's like a 7-foot senior he transferred from North Dakota. He's like 7 foot 270, and his nickname, this is one reason why he's up for the award, just because it's the best nickname.
Names are important for the Pittsnogle.
Big Fudge. Big Fudge.
Wow, that could be an award on its own right there.
There might become a Big Fudge Award. But he also
a Big Fudge Award.
He's important. He knows his role. His role is to come be a big, warm, breathing body in the paint, and he does a good job of doing that.
Well, so does that open up the nominees again, or are you still decided on the Pittsnogle Award?
Usually it was a little early to award the Pittsnogle Award.
Okay.
Usually you wait until the final weekend. I was just so taken with Mr. Krutwig.
I hate to have to call him back and tell him he didn't get it. I think he's already spent that money.
Tell you what, with a guy named Big Fudge from South Dakota,
he's at least in the conversation. Okay. Well, that's the great thing is the fighting sister. Loyola is still playing.
The Ramblers.
So we get to watch him for another weekend, hopefully for 2 more games, maybe just one.
Man, I'd watch them every single week. They're so much fun to watch. It's like watching Barcelona kicking the ball around. Like they just pass. They don't force anything. They use up the shot clock, just making pass. It's beautiful. I love it.
Well, and so I wanted to get on that, and I think we'll have to hold the Pittsnogle at least for a week. Okay. We'll give you an update on that in a week.
We'll update next week.
But their style of play, and I want to bounce this off you, Dad, because I think you might have a response. But Porter, their coach, is a disciple. He's from Loyola, Chicago. I think he went to school there, or he's from that area. But he was the assistant coach. Yeah, he was the assistant coach for Rick Majerus. Did Rick Majerus pass away, Dad?
Yeah, I think it was in 2011. I was a big fan of Rick Majerus.
Well, Majerus was bringing a new offense that was it's kind of what the NBA is doing now, and it was the college getting ahead of the game and playing this 4 outside, 1 inside game and it's what Loyola does now. They have either Big Fudge or Krudwig in the middle, and then Ingram is really their forward, but he's kind of a guard that just is a little tall. They have 4 guys that can all dribble, pass, shoot, they all can handle the ball, and so it just changes your game because if they get a big man on them that can't move laterally, they'll blow by them. And their game's just so fun to watch because none of them. And what have they played? 4 games now, 3 or 4 games. It's been a different guy every game because they don't. It's not 1-star players. Just the open guy takes the shot every time.
It was Ingram, and then is the other guy Towns. I keep
Towns
forgetting.
made the
Marcus
big shot.
Towns.
Custer made the big shot.
Custer, Richardson
went lights out. I think he's still hitting shots right now. That dude wouldn't miss.
I think he might have been 7 of 8 from 3-point land. He
missed one 3-pointer. I don't know if it was 7 or 8 or 6 for 7, but he only missed 1, and it was. Yeah. He was shooting someone. I thought, you should probably waste some time, but he kept nailing. I was like, whatever, dude.
You mentioned Majerus, and I just want to mention a couple things about old Majerus. Do you know when I got acquainted with Majerus is because there was a guy coming. He graduated high school, and I believe this is 78. He graduates high school, and he's a feature figure in an Inside Sports. It wasn't Sports Illustrated, but a big sports magazine at the time. And they asked him where he was going to school, and he goes, wherever Rick Majerus is coaching. And Rick Majerus happened to be at Marquette, and that kid was Glenn Doc Rivers. And Glenn Doc Rivers went to play. As a matter of fact, the reason he's Doc Rivers is because Majerus gave him the nickname. He went to a camp Majerus was at when he was a kid, and he had a Dr. J jersey on. And so Majerus started calling him Doc. And that name has stuck, obviously, to this day.
People my age, and I only know this from reading a little bit, but people my age don't even realize that Doc's not his official first name. Like, it's just, that's Doc Rivers.
I wouldn't know where that.
If you say Glenn Rivers, you're like, huh?
Yeah. Who's Glenn Rivers? But Porter is right. Porter Moser was an assistant under him. I think it's St. Louis. For like 4 years, and Majerus made such an impact on him, and in fact told him when the Loyola Chicago job, he said, you need to take this job. And he told him to leave his staff. You need to take this job. And he took this job, and he still got Majerus's number in his cell phone, and he still calls it from time to time. I mean, it's a
cool.
neat deal. It's a cool deal.
Really cool story.
Yeah, I'm rooting for him for that because I always like Majerus, and so now I like Moser. There you go.
Well, what gets me back to this team is, and why, if you really did your research, no one did their research this hard. Obviously, I didn't. This is all hindsight 2020. But you could kind of see a little of this coming because they're a team that has 5 seniors, 3 juniors that all play big time minutes. And out of the 5 seniors, they were all freshmen on the roster when they won the CBI, which is the 3rd most prestigious tournament that you can win in college basketball. It's the College Basketball Invitational. And the school, Loyola, actually paid $235,000 to host 4 games for the tournament. They paid. Wow. I don't think they're paying money for this run to the Final Four. They're making bucket loads. But so these guys, Ingram was on that squad, Custer, Richardson, they were all on that team. And so I know it's not near the quality, but they know what a tournament run is like. They've had big wins. They've had big losses like we've talked about. And there's something about a group of guys, like we mentioned. It doesn't matter if it's Ingram goes for 30 or Custer goes for 30 or Richardson goes for 30 or Big Fudge goes for 30 or Crudwig. It's whatever. It's so fun to watch because it's just unselfish, just the right play. It's what your coach preached to you in middle school practice, and they just do it at a higher level. The scariest thing, that I think they believe they can do it.
Yeah.
And boy, don't let a team with that much talent and experience get belief. They could win it. I'm rooting for them.
It's like we talked about, was it last week where we said that a team that knows each other, that's a dangerous machine too. So they know each other really well.
And love each other. I mean, they don't care who gets the award for best player today, just win.
Yeah, they're going to share the Pittsnogle award, I think. That's the kind of team that they are.
Well, I know they're waiting to figure out who gets the award. They're waiting for that call with bated breath from LJ. But
they're just excited to know that it's on the team. But
I hope it doesn't affect their game preparation.
Well, so, all right, I have a question. To get the last thing I want to ask about Loyola is, I don't know if I'm sure y'all were watching the game, but after the game, Ben Richardson, the senior, who obviously we mentioned had a huge game, went nuts, couldn't miss. After the game, the reporter got him and Custer to talk because they're like roommates. They've known each other since forever. They've been playing ball together. And they have him talk, just go, what's it like? You guys have grown up playing basketball together, and now you're on the biggest stage in college basketball going to the Final Four. And Ben Richardson goes, he pulls the mic away and says, I have to tell this story.
Yeah, because Custer's talking. He pulls the
mic away to go, this happened the other day where this girl came up to us and said, hey, can we take your pictures at the hotel? And we were like, yeah, sure. And she handed the phone to Custer to say, hey, can you take the team picture with us with the team? And then she had the nerve to go, are you part of the team? So I think Ben Richardson thought that it was people don't believe in us and we still have that chip on our shoulder, but really it's like no one even knows who you are, Clayton Custer. This is our team. If I'm Custer, I'm kind of pissed that my boy B Rich had to tell that to the world.
But it's hilarious. He's just breaking his balls a little bit,
on the biggest stage they'll ever be on ever. He's busting his balls.
That's how you have to do that. That's a real buddy.
Yeah, that's.
All right, so the Loyola Chicago game has been as fun as anything. Just their games, like we've talked about, they've been fun to watch. Their run's been fun. K-State upsetting teams has been cool. But if you ask me, would I rather watch Loyola Chicago and K-State play or Duke and Kansas, 2 blue bloods, 1 and 2? I'm picking the blue bloods. The upsets are fun, but when we get to this point in the tournament, the level of play, that Kansas State Loyola game wasn't as good of a game to watch. It was still fun, but it wasn't as good of a basketball game.
I don't know. It's pretty fun to me. I enjoyed it, but
Well, I was going to say, as a not huge college basketball fan, or even really barely a college basketball fan, I'd much rather watch Loyola's run than see any game of top 2 teams or whatever. Like, it's just,
I know.
That's me.
I think I'm against you there, Kevin. I think that probably it drew people. I know probably us hardheads wanted to see Duke, Kansas, but people came to watch Loyola play today that don't usually watch the tournament.
Well, I think that's, like the Red Sox Yankees, like the only people that care are Red Sox Yankees fans, but like the Padres make it in and people care just because it's, someone that's not supposed to be there.
Well, and that's what I knew. I realized as I was watching that it's what it is. And the more I've heard people talk about it, like people that I work with that don't really, they keep up with the final scores just to see if their bracket's any decent at all. they were actually wanting to watch Loyola Kansas State because they're like, oh, Loyola's still in it. This is so cool. Like Sister Jean. And they didn't care about the Kansas Duke game except for they just want to know the final score and if it affected their bracket. So it's for people like me because I'm watching to know I want to see Marvin Bagley, future pro, Wendell Carter, future pro, and all the guys on Kansas that are going to go pro. And so I'm watching a little bit of that where storylines, like Sister Jean said, San Antonio, get ready. The Ramblers are coming, you know. It does bring, I think it brings the majority of people in with this, but personally, I'd rather watch the Blue Bloods. I'd rather have seen Kentucky play Michigan. Interesting. So Michigan now is going to be, since the seeding began in 1970, if they beat Loyola to go to the championship, they will go to the championship without having to play.
But anyway,
which won't happen, right? If they do, they'll go to the championship without playing any team that was a higher seed than them. In fact, they have not played any team that is
No.
who? Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you're right.
They haven't actually.
That's
They have
insanity.
not played one team that is higher than a 5 seed in the entire tournament.
that is that quarter of the bracket is insanity.
They
That's-
played Houston as a 6 seed and beat them on a buzzer beater. That was the highest seed they played so far. So, by the way, Houston's got to be kicking themselves, going, "Wow, we lost to a 3 on the buzzer, and we might have been the second best team, at least seeding wise." But
Right. That was that 3 where the guy split his legs
where
when he
Jordan
shot it
Poole
and all
hit it.
that.
But so ESPN Stats and Info went back and did the research. Since seeding began in 1975, Michigan would be the first team ever to reach the title game without playing at least someone with a 1 or 5 or in between seeding. So they've played no one with the top 5 seeding, and
they're playing the 11
they're playing
now.
the 11 now to go to the championship. Maybe it's just wild. Like that's why you can't predict this stuff. It's insane. You can't predict because
Well, they're going to play a 1. They're going to play a 1 in the championship,
Yeah.
right? Because
Right, but getting there, they haven't had to play anybody above a 6.
Right.
That's just wild.
That's
to me.
crazy.
You got Michigan, who's blue blood gets overused, but as far as sports in general, just football, basketball, baseball, every sport, Michigan, ton of money at that university, and they're playing a school you've never heard of until this year. So cool.
Well, I think whoever comes out the other side.
And now all the people you mentioned Loyola Marymount earlier, and Loyola Marymount, I think there's Loyola Maryland, there's a couple of other ones, Loyola Louisiana. They're now forever going to have to say, no, I went to the other Loyola school because Loyola Chicago is the Loyola school.
No doubt. No doubt.
To get on your big winner real quick, because there's not much to hit on because they're so far been the best team in the tournament in my eyes, is Villanova, who they keep the last 2 games against West Virginia and then Texas Tech. They got hit with some punches, but they just reacted and won both games by, I think, double digits. I mean, they're good.
You know, I think I heard, and just a quick aside, so I love watching college basketball this time of year, and I love they got Kenny, Charles, and Clark, talking about the games. I'm just telling you, maybe including you two, Kenny, Clark, Chuck, watching basketball with those guys, man, that would be the best.
Yeah.
Just sit and have a couple of beers watching college basketball tournament with those guys and y'all.
Man, I'd be
that would be amazing.
Would do a lot for that.
That would be really cool. But I think it was Kenny that said Villanova has played every kind of team in the tournament that there is. They've played, West Virginia.
Boy,
the pressure they bring on you is amazing. I just could not believe. I've heard about West Virginia and I've watched them play, but man, I got what they were talking about.
I mean, you're a fan. I know. I'm a fan of Arkansas. LJ, we know 40 Minutes of Hell. We've heard it. You actually watched the real 40 Minutes of Hell. That has to be the closest thing to 40 Minutes of Hell since Arkansas won championship. And that stuff I would hate playing it.
I mean, I would hate to see the old Arkansas teams play this West Virginia team of Bob Huggins. Man, do they bring it on defense. And something I noticed, and I don't know if Jay Wright was, obviously, I think he was doing it on purpose. And Kevin, you might remember in this game, but he didn't do it as much. When they're bringing the ball in after a made basket, boy, they would take their time. I mean, you'll see most teams, as soon as that ball comes out of the basket, they're barely stepping out, throwing the ball in, they're going. Not Villanova. I mean, they would amble around, take their time to get their guys set up, which also allows West Virginia to get set up. But it worked.
It's super interesting because the
they got
ref's
the ball down the
5-second count
floor.
doesn't start until that guy picks the ball up. So when the ball goes through the hoop,
Picks up the
he
ball.
just lets it bounce, and they like look around at the coach. They'd walk very gingerly to go to that ball.
If you watch, they made it a point to amble. I mean, just take their time. One might even suggest they sashayed to take the ball out. I don't know. But now I will say that Jay Wright, I saw that, and I got this quote after the game. That was the most physically demanding and mentally demanding 40 minutes we've played in a long time. I'm just telling you, West Virginia brought it. But Villanova won that game. I think they've got a good chance. I think whoever wins on that side, the Kansas, Villanova, obviously it'll be a 1 seed, but they'll be the favorite by far. Now, last time that happened, it was Louisville and the University of Houston. And the winner of that game was the University of Houston in 1983, and they got beat by North Carolina State and Jim Valvano on Lorenzo Charles's dunk. I know y'all weren't around, but I watched that game because I was a big Cougar fan. So it'd be like that. I mean,
I've seen the highlights on some old,
Oh my God, that was a team too. The
Was it basket interference or was it an alley-oop? Whatever.
Yeah, it was a loss to the Cougars. But anyway, that Nova West Virginia game was really interesting. And I thought,
I just want to say shout out to Javon Carter. He's graduated now.
Yep.
He's going to go pro, probably get drafted late, but that guy, I want him on my team.
He brings You better put your hard hat
and a sack of lunch, and he's ready to go.
That's right. Yes. When you're on him, bring your hard hat and your work boots because you're finna put in a day. There's no doubt about it. So,
but Dad, you're saying Nova they've played all sorts of teams to get to the spot, right?
Yeah, so they've played, a little more finesse teams. They can play inside. Spellman was huge against West Virginia in the first of the second half. He was huge. Blocking shot. He blocked one shot with his
and then got that
forearm,
putback dunk.
and then got that putback dunk, and that was the turning point in that game.
All in one sequence.
Yeah.
It was.
So they can play physical. They can play finesse. They're the best 3-point shooting team, I believe, in the tourney
They're
by
the best
far.
offensive team in KenPom rating.
And I think today they were 4 of 24, maybe on their 3-point shooting. So they found another way to win against a good Texas Tech team, a very athletic, good Texas Tech team. I do like Villanova in this, but that Villanova-Kansas game is going to be a fantastic game.
And by the way, Villanova has won all of them by multiple, like 10 points. Like it ends up not being that close.
Yeah.
Well, that takes me back to the interview that Kevin did with Aaron Torres. And if people at home hadn't listened to that yet, like that was good.
It's a good one.
But he was talking about, a team that can win games against all types of people. That's a well-coached team, and that's a team that you look for to win games. And that's what we're looking at in Villanova. I agree with what you're saying, Dad. That's awesome.
I do remember he said that talking about Tony Bennett at Virginia was not able to.
Right.
And Jay Wright apparently is able to make those adjustments against whatever he's playing against.
That's a scary team. A team that can adjust is a scary team.
Interestingly, y'all brought up Aaron. Aaron tweeted today, by the way, good follow at Aaron_Torres, but he said he noted that Villanova since 2013 has not had back-to-back losses in over 5 years, which is shows how Jay Wright is an incredible coach.
Jeez.
For 5 years, it's the longest streak in college basketball, and that just blows my mind. So I want to give a little shout out to Bill Self in Kansas. Bill Self's had a lot of trouble in the Elite Eight. I think he's now 3-7. He was 2-7 coming into today in the Elite Eight. So I'm happy for old Bill Self. He's a good coach, deserves some credit. But my favorite guy on that team is my boy, Mekhi Luke. And he's the shooter, about 6'7". I just see so much. I don't know if you remember him, Dad. He's the Russian guy that is like small forward. And I see Klay Thompson in him all over the place. I mean, he cuts really well. He's a fantastic shooter. Shoots like 45% from 3, 90% free throw shooter. And I think he only averages like 11 points per game because he just plays so within the offense. If he ever gets to an NBA team that really starts saying, hey, let's make you a focal point of the offense, he could be a stud. He just does everything right. He doesn't do anything wrong. Yeah. And he wins the award. If we start giving out the award, we might start it this year, the Deceptively Athletic Award, which I think we all know who that goes to. It's a way of just saying a white guy's good at sports.
Yeah. Yes.
He might win it for the March Madness.
Well, can I ask a question a little on basketball, but a little off basketball?
Yeah, so bring it.
Okay, so I've been watching, I don't watch TBS a lot, but, during the games, they are promoting some of the shows that they have on. Are you guys aware that Snoop Dogg has got a game show?
No.
Yeah. Snoop Dogg has a game show on TBS called Joker's Wild. And so, like, they flip this big, like, it's like a slot machine, and you flip it, and you really win big if 420 comes up 3 times. I mean, I'm going to have to watch this and see what is this about.
Oh, man.
Okay, but they got one more. They got one more that I'm going to for sure watch. That's not it. There's more. They've got one called The Last OG, starring Tracy Morgan. I mean,
I have seen the commercials for that.
I am in, guys.
That sounds amazing.
And Tiffany Haddish is in it. So
I love Tiffany Haddish. She's hilarious.
I do too. I'm just saying, I'm going to start watching TBS a lot more.
Yeah.
So TBS has done a good job in their commercials during this run, huh?
Hey, Snoop Dogg doing a game show. I got to check that out.
So, speaking of commercials during these games, what do y'all? You mentioned earlier, I love Chuck. I love Charles Barkley. He's hilarious to me. And I think him and Samuel L. Jackson and Spike Lee are all funny. And they do these commercials now, and they do too much. And I don't think they're near as funny as they could be. They try way too hard to be funny. And also Chuck tries, I don't know, if I'm Chuck, I don't want to be the stupid guy, but he tries too hard to be the stupid guy.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't think it's that good.
I mean, Kevin knows from experience, you got to just let it be. That's how you really sell it.
You got to naturally be the stupid guy.
No, I agree with you. And man, I think all of
that was nice. That was nice.
I think all of the
touche.
I think a lot of the media from this March Madness is trying too hard. Like those awful, what are they, rap videos that they make? And have you seen those where they have cartoonish sort of stuff? I don't know. They're awful.
Yeah,
they're trying so hard to be cool, and they're just not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know where the deer and the cantaloupe play. I mean,
Chuck and them are funny just in general. Don't try too hard to make it funny.
Just turn the camera on and let them be them. And you'll catch a moment. Don't tell them what to say.
No, I will say that the commercial where Chuck says that he locks his funds whenever he gets around smoked meat, that did kind of make me laugh a little bit. He locks up his credit card because he spends too much. That's probably true.
That one was better than the others.
Probably because they just turned the camera on and started recording.
Yeah,
and that was just an original Chuck.
Yeah.
That was a Chuckism. I want to get on. These are just some random thoughts that go through the old dome at times. And who decided that some fruit should be peeled and some you just eat regular? Who was like, you know what? If you take this peel off this banana, it's a lot easier to chew. It tastes better. Who decided that one day?
You know what? I bet the second guy to bite into one probably.
Someone bit into a banana and said, "Oh, this ain't bad. Try this." And handed over. Guy's like,
or maybe it was the second guy.
Two guys are sitting there eating. One's eating the apple and they're loving it, and the other guy's eating the orange, and it's like, this is just not that good.
And then Kevin's over there taking a bite out of a watermelon, saying, "Whatever."
Trying to. I'm breaking my teeth on this watermelon. I just want to know, was that an Adam Eve thing? Did Eve go after one of them bit into the apple, they realized, whoa, that orange tastes way better if we take the peel off of it.
I bet you it was a pretty early discovery, but
yeah. Well, like the coconut, right? The coconut they had to hit on. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're not biting a coconut.
I've never tried to eat a raw coconut.
Well, I'd say don't.
Surprising.
But like, yeah, I mean, nuts too. You know, you have to crack open a pecan or whatever. Like, it's pretty human nature.
Have you seen people with peanuts that'll just eat the whole shell and everything?
No.
Just like, oh yeah, I've seen people do that.
Y'all never tried that?
No.
Oh, it's terrible.
Hand up, yeah.
Not sober.
I've tried that.
No, you've done it sober, Kevin?
Well, okay, so
That's a no. That's a no.
Well, it happened on accident. By the way, another thing you can do this with the sunflower seeds, but when I get there now. But I bit into a peanut to kind of open it up, you know, and I accidentally crushed it a little too much, and then I just kind of started chewing. It really don't taste bad.
I mean,
Am I crazy?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
If it doesn't taste bad, you're not crazy. I think that's the truth in it.
Yeah.
If it's stupid and it works, it's not stupid, right?
Well, it works. But
And that's the narration of my life.
if you like, so next time we get hanging around, I'm going to get a bunch of shelled peanuts and we're going to both snack and I'm going to peel mine. And
Are you going to try one?
And
Are you going to try?
I'll try one.
No, I've done it before. I told you, when I'm sober, I don't ever do it. I did try it one time, and it was just terrible.
Well, maybe it was because you weren't in a state where you could totally appreciate it. You know, maybe.
Okay,
maybe
I'll try it.
You got the wrong nut.
I'll try it one more time. Okay, I'll do it.
All right.
I'll commit to that.
Another thought. Okay, another thought.
That's all for this week on Let's Make Dad Try Some Crazy Shit.
Another thought. So actually, I might be with Dad coming up this week, so I'll make sure that he tries a peanut. I might even get some film of him trying a peanut the right way. But another thought I have is why, I don't know why, but I don't like it when a female calls me a dude or man. Like when they say like, dude, what are you doing? I don't know. I just don't.
Why not? Like,
Because somebody called him that recently that he wished wouldn't have. That's why.
yeah.
No, see, and that's my first thought was it's going to be because it's like you get friend zoned by an attractive girl or something, you know, but it isn't that way. It's about a female recently that I have no attraction to. Just she says man a lot, and she'll just be like, "Hey man," or "Hey, thanks man," or "What are you doing, man?" And for some reason, I don't know. It's just I don't like it. That's weird to me.
That's weird. I don't know. Yeah, because I don't mind at all. In fact, sometimes I'll accidentally call Hannah a dude, and she'll just call me. I don't know. It's funny. It's like kind of goofy and endearing, I think.
So I don't know. It's for some reason it's.
I think
I'm with it's a guy. It's like us guys, and maybe I don't know if this is like a sexist thing of me, but for some reason I just don't know why, but I don't like it.
I think I called Tammy. I said something like, "Hey, dude," one time, and she looked at me with no apology in her eye and said, "I am not a dude." And that was the last time I called her dude. So I kind of get it. I don't know. It's more of a guy thing, I think.
I don't know. It doesn't bother me either way.
Speaking of guys, would y'all rather be a manager or a bench warmer in a sport? What sport would you want to be like the bench warmer for? Because it'd be kind of cool to be the bench warmer in March Madness, the guy that just goes nuts.
Yeah.
And goes, because the camera always pans to the bench. Yeah. So you're getting some airtime every time. Is there a specific sport that you would choose or no?
We talking about like amateur wise, like we're not bringing in how much you could get paid to do it.
Yeah, not looking at.
Think about like the fun aspect of it.
Just yeah. And I guess if you want to be a groupie of a band, that could be in there too.
Well, a groupie.
Well, define groupie. What job duties are under the definition of groupie?
In my mind, it's just travel with them.
Okay.
Well, I think okay. Well, you should watch Almost Famous, Kevin. It's a very good movie.
I love
groupies.
it. It's a great movie.
It's one of the best of all time. But if groupie just means travel with them and party with them, I might pick groupie. But I think there's some other job activities that might be required. In that.
I think when you consider like bench warmer, you consider roadie or guitar tech, right? Like I think that's more accurate to like what because you still got a job to do, but like you don't have to do it all the time.
You still go through the scrimmages.
Yeah, okay. So would you rather be a roadie or like or a manager or bench warmer for a sport? I think boy, a roadie would be fun though.
A roadie would be fun.
Well, I've never been a roadie. My athletic skill set me up perfectly for the bench warmer / manager role. So I've done that one before. It wasn't bad. You know, I like the camaraderie of the team, but also it'd be cool to be a roadie too.
I think I'm with you though. I think March Madness basketball teams are tight knit, small groups of people. That's fun. And the camaraderie, and then like being on the big stage like that, that'd be fun.
It's like 14 or 15 of y'all that always travel together. Speaking of this, a manager at Michigan, I wish I knew his name, Robinson, I think. He got in that blowout against Texas A&M. He was a manager and then got to be a walk-on senior and got into the game and hit a three.
Oh, wow.
In the Staples Center for the Sweet 16.
That's cool.
That has got to be awesome. Man. Also, speaking of the guys on the bench, I don't know how to feel about the guy on the bench that is the pull me back guy. You know, like when something wild goes on and the guys are going crazy. The guy that is the guy on the bench that pulls everyone back, part of me's like, screw you, let me live. This is the best moment of our life probably ever right now. Don't pull me back. But another part of me is like, you're doing a job that is needed. You're making sure we don't get on the court and get a technical. But let me live. Let me live. This is our moment. This is our chance. I'm going wild.
If I want to get a technical foul and lose the game,
let me do it.
It's on me.
Yeah. That's my decision to make for the 15 of us.
This is my chance for the camera to pan over to me and me look like a total dumbass. Not hard for me to do. Just let it happen.
Let me live.
All right, last random question. Does anyone else have dots on the left thigh of their pants?
So
why do you ask?
Yeah, on your jeans, your shorts, what?
Jeans, khaki pants. I'll end up with like dots on the left side on my thigh. And I figured out why finally.
Okay.
I use click pins all the time. And apparently I put in my pocket, and while I'm sitting, either my waist belly clicks them or I don't click them before I put them in there. But it's on. It's like on. And I'm a connoisseur of good pins. So these are very well inked pins, and it starts to ink up. And all of a sudden I'm like, what the hell? Why is this blue mark on my left thigh? And I finally realized it because it poked me. And I realized if you look inside out, I have ink marks on all my pockets. It just, on some of them, it actually goes through the pocket.
Do you want a solution for that?
What's the solution?
Be smarter.
That's first one.
Shirt pockets. Get a shirt pocket and put them there. That's where they go.
Then I'm going to end up with blue spots on my titty. Come on now.
You have to unpoke. You have to unclick them.
We'll get a pocket protector. You get a pocket protector next, right?
Okay.
No, don't get a pocket protector.
Just get some bifocals.
You should also have a slide rule hooked to your belt, just in case at any given moment you need to pop out your slide rule.
Yeah, I also wear my phone on the outside of my belt.
Oh yeah,
you're right.
So you can.
You're right.
Pull it out
just
quickly.
have ink spots on your left thigh. That's better. Go ahead. Fine. Yeah.
Look, we all have blemishes, and I deal with mine one way, and you deal with yours the other.
Okay. Fine. You're a grown-ass man.
Let's end it all off the way we always do. Dad, what? Anything been in your ears lately? What you been listening to?
Yes, I actually have a really good answer to this because I'm going to name an album that quite possibly is in the top 3 of all time. Okay. And I just happened to be driving to Little River this weekend, and I put on Eagles Hotel California. Good. Oh my God.
Yep.
Just, if you don't own that album, go buy it. And if you're mad about it, let me know and I'll commiserate. Well, I'll take it from you. But it's just, it is one of the best albums of all time. It truly is. So I've been listening to some old school Eagles, Hotel California, the album. It was fantastic.
Nice. That's solid choice.
Well, on that real quick, I did see, I'll have to look, but I think I saw that CDs actually outsold digital downloads this month. So that kind of throws back to something we talked about recently. I mean, the majority of sales are still, or the majority of music consumption is still like Spotify and stuff like that. But more people are buying CDs than iTunes, or at least they were this month. So, maybe CDs won't go away. We'll see. But anyway, I'm listening to this. She's an artist known as Tash Sultana. She's, I think, from either Australia or New Zealand. She was like a street performer that has like gotten her life together through music, and she's like Katie Tunstall, not stylistically, but remember she used to kind of play every instrument like on a loop pedal and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. She does this. Yeah. There's this one really great video I'll post on the website where she does MGMT's Electric Feel, and she's got just like 89 pedals around her, and she's got 2 different microphones, and it's.
Now you've got me intrigued.
No, check this out. I'll have this up when the episode's up, and it's worth your time. It is so good.
Cool. Very cool.
Well, and I just went back to once again, I need to get more into something a little newer, but I just keep going back to older things that I know I like. Why fix it ain't broke, I guess. But Explosion in the Sky, sure. I think me and you might have talked about it recently, but I've been listening to some Explosion in the Sky and just all of it in general. It wasn't just one album, but in particular, I actually don't know their songs that well by name because most of it's instrumental.
Right.
But So Long, Lonesome, and Your Hand in Mine are 2. I think the reason I got back into them here recently is because, and it makes sense, it's a good time for it. One of the March Madness, like, I don't know if it was a promotional video or if it was, how like the countdown shows will do like stories about it. They played Your Hand in Mine. And it was just playing while the team's doing it. And when I heard it, I was like, I want to hear them. So the other night, I just put it on play.
Classic sports song. Like that's from Friday Night Lights. Like the drama of sports is told through that song.
It puts me right back into the feels of like high school football playoffs. Like it's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's what I've been listening to. They're good.
Have you listened to the album All of a Sudden I Miss Everyone front to back?
No, I don't think I have. Is that a
set aside 90 minutes or so and do that because it takes you on a journey. It's really good.
Is it a good? That might be my next writing listen because I like just throwing something on.
They're really good for that kind of stuff. I think.
That's when I like to put them on is when I'm writing something. So I think that'll do it for this week's episode of the Just Press Play podcast. As always, hit us up on Facebook or Twitter. We're going to keep up with the Just Press Play bracket challenge updates on the scores. See who's going to get that shirt, who gets the opportunity to accept or decline an invitation on the show. It just depends if you want to indulge yourself in conversations such as these.
If I hold my last place spot, does that mean I get to come on the show too, or am I kicked off immediately?
You could just take LJ's spot on the show. LJ, if you can't beat Sean, who's rolling dice for every game, then you might have to take a week off. You're suspended. Shout out to Sean. But thanks for listening. We appreciate it. As always, make sure you're subscribing. Shoot, leave us a review if you're feeling a little crazy. And hit us on Twitter, on Facebook if there's anything that we forgot or we're wrong about, or just if you got a problem with something one of us said, which is very possible. So, or if you end up with dots on your left eye, because it happens to probably the majority of us.
And if you do and you want one, Pops has a solution. Just see me.
And for this week's episode, peace out.
Peace.